thinking back on stories from Colonel Sayre, I remember him talking about being in Sicily and fighting there. He talked about one of his subordinate officers. He was a lieutenant. He said that he was out on patrol and he got shot. He said he got stitched across the chest by a German machine gun, and he still had his 45 on him. And for some reason, they seem to think that they need to collect those weapons. And Colonel Sayre said he went out there knowing that that machine gun was there, but he was trying to get that 45. And he said he got right to the guy and he was fixing to fish it out of his holster when all of a sudden that German machine gun started shooting. And so he said he turned and he turned tail and ran as fast as he could. And out in West Texas, in Breckenridge, they have prickly pear cactus. In Colonel Sayre, they said that they had very large prickly pear cactus in Sicily. And he said when he was running from that machine gun, he said he ran straight through a big patch of prickly pear cactus. He said it didn't slow him down a bit, but he said when he was finally safe in cover, that he was just filled with cactus needles, and he did not retrieve that 45. I also recall him talking about that first night that they jumped, that he and his men were traversing the landscape in the dark, and they ran across an Italian trench that was empty. And he said they jumped into the trench to rest and get organized. And he said he was oiling his 45. Well, he said when the Italians returned to their trench, and all of a sudden they just jumped into the trench. And he said that it all of a sudden it busted out into hand-to-hand combat. And he said the guy in front of him, Colonel Sayre said he had the 45 in his hand, and apparently it wasn't cocked because he was oiling it. It wasn't chambered. He said he hit him on top of the head as hard as he could with that 45. He said the guy wasn't wearing a helmet, and the guy fell down. And Sayre said once that they had neutralized those guys, that they all jumped out of the trench and ran as fast as they could because they didn't know how many or what else was going on there. He said the next day they went back to that trench, and he said he found that guy that he had hit on the top of the head. And apparently if you hit somebody on the top of the head hard enough with a 45, it'll kill him. He said the guy was dead. He also talked about, I think it was the Biazzo Ridge, or it was a hard fight at Sicily, and he talked about German tanks came up against him, and they called in shipboard artillery, and he said that one of the tanks got hit right in the turret ring by an artillery round, and I don't think that was shipboard artillery, that was just standard artillery that hit that. And he said that they could hear the German tanker inside screaming he was burning. But he said they would have gone to him and tried to get the guy out of the tank. But he said if they would have gone forward, they would have gotten shot. So they just held their position. And he talked about how horrifying it was to listen to that guy burn to death inside of that tank, not be able to go help him. So at the end of the war, Major Sayre ended up in the 508 Infantry Regiment, which was the conquering general of Europe, Eisenhower's personal honor guard in Frankfurt at the end of the war. And this is a photograph of Major Sayre with the white scarf there, conducting General Eisenhower along to his honor guard and to inspect his honor guard in Frankfurt at the end of the war. So what an honor. So Ed Sayre must have been the paratrooper's paratrooper. He wasn't a big man. He was about maybe my size, maybe 5'9" or so. But in talking to him, I would say he had been an Italian and a German and a Korean and Chinese and Viet Cong killing dude. So that's it for Colonel Sayre.